in the wrists. There are different directions of blood flow. He was able to kind of chart it out and discover it indicated the rising up and the letting go. Because remember, the death of crucifixion is asphyxiation. So what happens is you can breathe in, 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 you can breathe in. You can't breathe it out. And so you die by suffocation, by having too much inside your lungs. The only way to relieve it is to pull up on those nails, and all of a sudden you're able to exhale. And so the wounds on the shroud and indicated on the crucifix there show that the man had movement up and down, up and down. And that would also probably be a testimony to witness to the 7 words that he spoke on the cross, because he would have to breathe in order to speak those words on the cross. So it's actually shown there on the shroud based upon the wounds that are there. And finally, when Jesus died, according to Monsignor Ricci, he died in an up position with his head bowed down and his arms slanted. And so you'll notice on the crucifix, it's not just simply this way, but in fact, one arm is kind of off like this, and it's kind of slung over to the side. That's based upon the blood flow that was discovered on the shroud. And so that's how the crucifix was made, based upon that. And the last thing Monsignor Ricci discovered, and this is the last thing we'll talk about, is I mentioned the piercing between 5 and 6, rib 5 and 6. And of course we know that happened. And the blood and water flow, John says. And so Monsignor talked about how the fact that the blood had collected around the heart, and then came out with blood at the end, would indicate there's a likely, it's not 100% but likely, that it had been caused by a cardiac arrest at one point. And for the period of time that would have taken for the blood and water, if you will, to separate, that he thinks that perhaps the man that was in the shroud, that was on that cross, would likely have had a heart attack, most likely in the Garden of Gethsemane. If you trace it back time-wise, something in the Garden of Gethsemane is where he would have endured a heart attack, which, maybe as he was having the sweating of the blood and everything else, it kind of fits together. So, once again, that is one of the 3 crosses in the world based upon the shroud, the syndonic crosses, the crucifixes. So again, I really wanted on our first part of our trip for you to get a chance to see that, and to see a very rare thing that you don't really ever get a chance to see, and also understand it more now. And so, if we take the shroud to be authentic, which I definitely do, then you're looking at the closest thing would be to see where on the cross where we look like we're not before God. Okay? Any questions on that? A lot of it is things